Welcome to another interesting edition of Today in the News here on Vanguard Live, broadcasting to you from the city of Lagos, Southwest Nigeria. Of course, it's a beautiful Monday here, and of course, we are going to be serving you with some of the major headlines, coming from the dailies across the country. We are going to be starting off with the Vanguard. Well, let's see what the Vanguard is saying this morning. Okay, the lead story on the pages of Vanguard is manufacturers borrow 1.8 trillion to survive in first quarter of 2023. That story is on page 5 of the Vanguard, and of course, it comes with a rider. And the rider is finance cost rises 41.1% to about 330.9 billion naira. Well, analysts recommend public offers CPS. Okay, you can take a copy of the Vanguard to see what that is all about. Okay, above the nameplate of the Vanguard, we have a very interesting story, and that's coming from the Niger Republic. Right, Catholic Bishop JNI AANI, others say no to military intervention. Okay, that story is also on page 5 of the Vanguard. You can also see that when you pick up a copy of the Vanguard. Okay, let's quickly look at all the story above the nameplate of the Vanguard. Why flight delays, cancellation, we continue. That is coming from NCAA, a regulatory body for the aviation sector. Okay, a copy of the Vanguard will definitely give you an insight into what that is all about. Okay, let's look at another story that is of interest on the front page of the Vanguard, and that is coming from Edo State. Obaseki Shoaib field. Anxiety, suspense as Edo Assembly sits today. Well, there's been a lot of court cases going on around, the governor and his deputy, and of course, that story is on page 15 of the Vanguard this morning. Let's quickly move on to the Punch, and let's see what Punch has for us this morning. The front page of the Punch is also leading with a business story saying foreign airlines repatriate over $4 billion in 15 months. That story is on the page 5 of the Punch this morning. And let's quickly take another story from the front page of the Punch before we move further. Suspected land grabbers shoot tree in Ogun community invasion. Suspected land grabbers shoot tree in Ogun community invasion. Another story that will make your interest is the elevator tragedy. Of course, we all know the tragic demise of Dr. Dihaso. And there's a story on that on the front page of the Vanguard. Lagos sacks facility managers, suspend contractors. That story is also on the front page of the Punch. Let's quickly take one more before we move to the Nation. Private schools we suspend bus services, raise fees. That's coming from NAPSS. That story is on the front page of the Punch. And well, before we go to the Nation, let's see what the Guardian has for us this morning. Guardian is also leading with a business headline. Nigeria may incur over 2.98 trillion naira, double defense spending yearly. That story is on page 6. The Vanguard. Okay, well, there is a cartoon on the front page of the Vanguard, Guardian, which is saying sanction against Niger. That's the picture of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and that of the Niger Republic military junta there on the front page of the Vanguard. Let's quickly look at one other story on the Guardian. Subsidy, repair of refineries may ease economic pains. Well, you can pick up a page of a copy of the Guardian to see what that story it's all about. And lastly, on the dailies, before we move to the other segment, is the Nation newspaper. The Nation is leading with federal government states open talks on minimum wage review. Federal government states open talks on minimum wage review. There's a writer to that story say no plan for 100% pay rise. Well, the rider may actually break the hearts of the Nigerian workers who are currently, suffering the economic hardship, that has been occasioned by the removal of fuel subsidy. Okay, let's look at other stories above the nameplate of the Nation. Student doctors dead. Lagos sacks official. Makinde of unfolds or your economic recovery plan. Well, okay, let's look at one last story before we move on. Why Obaseki won't back Shuaibu as successor? That's coming from Obaseki's aide. Well, I'm afraid that's all we have for you from the dailies this morning. My name is Idowu Bankole, and of course, we are going to be back shortly for some of the review of these dailies with a very interesting guest who is going to be joining us live from Zoom shortly. All right, welcome back. And of course, it is still the morning show and of course, newspaper review here on Vanguard, live broadcasting you from the beautiful city of Lagos, Southwest Nigeria. And of course, this is the analysis segment, and we have a very interesting analyst who happens to also be a journalist in the person of Mr. Jalil Abdul. He was the former FCT chairman of NUJ. He joins us live via Zoom from Abuja. Mr. Jalil, good morning. Glad to have you on this show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Right. How is Abuja this morning? I'm sure everything is calm. There is no protest whatsoever.
No, the weather is very good.
Right. No one is actually feeling the subsidy hardship and all of that. You seem to be enjoying the whole thing yourself. I can see the broad smile on your face.
The beach are also crying though.
All right, let's quickly look at what the newspapers are saying. Vanguard, of course, is leading with some very interesting story, and then of course when manufacturers are actually crying of funding, and that shows that the economy is not really doing well. Of course, we see that just in 2023, Nigerian manufacturers have borrowed over 1.8 trillion just to survive that quarter. What do you make of the current economic situation of Nigeria?
The economic situation of Nigeria presently is not favorable to anybody.
Right.
But I just believe that maybe when they appoint the ministers, as from Wednesday, when they kickstart their projects, there may be some leeway out. Because for now, it's just the president and his team of advisors. And some of them may not be economic wizards.
Right.
But let's pray that they put the right person in the Ministry of Finance, Nation Budget, and the rest. They may be able to bring some new suggestions that we relieve the hardship from everyone. Just as I said at the beginning, everybody, even the rich, are also crying. And certainly with the increase with the borrowing by the manufacturers, that means the prices of goods will also be on the high side. And then the man at the bottom line receiving these things, no increments, no salary. Some are being owed 5 months. Some don't even have job at all. And we all go to the same market.
Mm. Well, the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is barely 100 days old, and some persons are saying that Nigerians should, give him more time. He probably has something good, to offer us. Are you also of the opinion? Are you optimistic from some of the, economic policies that have been taken so far? Are you optimistic that Mr. President is going to get it right, at the end of the his first tenure in office?
We are told that the money shows how the evening will look like.
Hmm.
We are made to believe, and that's why many voted for Tinubu, that he has the economic plan, blueprint. Whether it is 100 days or 1,000 days or 2 days, once you are prepared for that job, and he was prepared for it, and he meant to get the job, he has been given the job now. 100 days doesn't matter. What we were expecting is that within the first 2-3 more weeks, we're supposed to have seen a change. But all these excuses that he's still young, the government is still young, is defeatist arguments. Before you contest, sir?
Well, I think you do not share in the opinion of, some Nigerians that think the president is actually on the right track. But let me quickly ask you this, just few weeks after removing the fuel subsidy, the president announced that, some indigent Nigerians are going to be getting 8,000 naira palliative. And lately we heard, of course, the president rescinded that decision and said that the money is going to be used through agricultural, let me say, produce. Of course, farmers are going to be equipped, funded, and then of course some micro or nano businesses too will receive funding. Do you think the government is really not confused as to what to do with about 1 trillion naira that has been saved so far from the subsidy removal? Do you think the government really knows what to do, with the palliative? Because a lot of Nigerians think the government is really confused as to how to distribute, this palliative among Nigerians that are worst hit.
As I said before now, the government may not necessarily be confused as the word confusion means. But it shows that, until we have ministers, so at who that minister will be responsible for economic decisions. For now, it's just Tinubu and maybe some kitchen cabinets. And those kitchen cabinets may not have what it takes to put this palliative that we are even talking about.
Right.
Agriculture, transportation.
Right.
And this agricultural produce, we are told that grains will be released. I don't think the prices have gone down with the release, if at all it has been released. So we need to hold somebody responsible. For now, nobody. It's just the president that is just talking. Nobody that you can hold that say, this thing that the president has said, why is it not working? So let's pray that maybe as from Wednesday, when the new minister comes, then we can start having shift or paradigm of not just the president talking, but the minister will be accountable for any lapses that is affecting the economy of Nigeria.
All right, so let's quickly move to some international matters now, and of course the Niger Republic will definitely come to fore because at the moment, just yesterday, the deadline issued by ECOWAS expired, and of course a lot of people are hoping that we do not go to war, as a lot of persons are looking at. What exactly are we expecting? What do you make of all the situation happening in Niger Republic as regards Nigeria's involvement?
Fortunately, the Senate has helped the president to save face by saying we cannot go to war with Niger. But the truth is that, do we have the capability? It's not even our war. The people in Nigeria and we, the neighbors, complaining. How can you be taking Panadol for somebody? The truth is they should engage these juntas. They are no longer juntas again. They are already leaders in Niger. Engage them in dialogue and give them maybe a year or so transition that they should restore democracy. And you expect him to provide the following day. He has put his life on the line and he got it. He said that he failed or he succeeded. And these people, they've succeeded. So they are like, what would I call it? A cow in a china shop. If you don't handle it well, you'll be the one that will be regretting at the end of the day. But I think, unfortunately, the Western world are trying to use Nigeria. And from what we have heard and what we have read, Tinubu has to listen to Nigerians. He should not fight a war that does not supposed to be his. He has enough on his hand internally now. Let us do a dialogue with the military juntas in Niger.
But a lot of people feel that Nigeria, being the ECOWAS leader at the moment, needed to play a lot of role in that. So I do not agree with you when you said that maybe the Western world were trying to use Nigeria to have some kind of footings in Niger Republic. I don't think so, because as ECOWAS chairman, a lot of people expected President Tinubu to have to do more than what he's even doing at the moment. So whatever he has done, most people feel it is really not out of place, at the moment. When you talk about 1 year transition, what comes to mind also is the safety of President Bazoum, who is currently in detention. What do you make of that, his own safety? All right, I think we are having network issues, but of course, Mr. Jalil has been giving us some very delightful insight into the situation in Niger Republic. And of course, he has said that the ECOWAS should allow the military rulers in Niger 1 year transition, returning to democratic rule. Well, of course, we heard that the United States at the moment have suspended financial aids to that country. Of course, France equally said that they will not recognize, the leaders of, Niger Republic, as it were. I think we have Mr. Jalil back. Mr.
Yeah.
Jalil,
And now they please come and assist us. They're looking at both sides, but Nigeria is just in the middle, and they are using Nigeria. They want to use Nigeria to fight a war that the two
no,
of them are
Mr. Jalil,
beneficiaries.
when you say using Nigeria, Nigeria is, of course, the Nigerian president is the ECOWAS chairman. Are you saying he's not supposed to play any role, in restoring democracy to Niger Republic?
The role he's supposed to play a role,
Right.
but not to give ultimatum. What I'm saying is that the role is that you call for a roundtable, discuss with them. Out of the 15 or 16 West African countries, 4 already are under military rule. Are you expecting those ones now to support your call? The fear actually of Nigeria, which I understand and I really pity Tinubu, is that if he does not act fast with the way things are, if care is not taken, even the other 15 or 12 West African countries may fall victim. So he's doing the right thing, but let him take it step after step, one step at a time.
Right.
What they gave, the ultimatum they gave last week, was what they're supposed to have given after exhausting all the diplomatic avenue.
Right. All right. So right. Okay. So away from Niger Republic, let's look at what is happening in Edo State. It really calls for concern when you see, the governor and his deputy, or the president and his vice, having some kind of political field. Like the popular saying, when two elephants fight, the grass will suffer. Do you think that, whatever is happening in Edo State will not be affecting governance in that state? Let's start with that.
There is always, and it's something that I would say is unfortunate. Most often, the principals do not want their deputies. Look at most of the states. It's not only Edo. Most of the states we find it difficult to see where a governor hands over to his deputy. They will always go for a chief of staff, or go for a speaker, go for somebody outside the two of them.
But why is that?
That is what is happening.
Why is that? Do you have any inkling to why is that?
No, you see, the truth is that when somebody has 1 naira and somebody has one kobo, the person with 1 naira does not want that 1 kobo man to be equal with him. Is that not what is happening in Kano now?
Hmm.
Between Kwakwaso and Ganduje? The same thing. It happened in Zamfara. It
Hmm.
happened. They just be mentioning the states. You
Hmm.
just wonder that it's the same thing. No governor wants to hand over to his deputy
Hmm.
because they fear that they know the tricks
Hmm.
and they don't want somebody that they will be controlling.
Hmm.
And the deputy governor who has studied you for 8 years, you know, he want to stand on his own,
Yeah.
which they don't like. So it's the succession crisis that is happening, which is in Nigeria now. That has become the norm,
Right. Okay.
which is not actually good because it's affecting governance in Edo.
Right. Before we let you go, sir, let's look at the minimum wage. Of course, that is really on the front burner of every Nigerian worker at the moment, given the fact that the removal of fuel subsidy has occasioned serious hardship on the average Nigerian worker. Well, of course, it is said that the federal government and the state government have opened talks on minimum wage, but they are ruling out 100% pay rise for the Nigerian workers. What do you make of that, with the current economic situation in the country?
Anyway, if I said there's no need for minimum wage, it could be 1,000%, it could be 100%. Let's look at the percentage of those who are earning salaries from government. The percentage of civil servants is very small compared to those in private sector, public sector, and self-employed. The increment now, whatever it is, let's say 50 or 100%, will it be beneficial to the person outside the civil service cycle? So the only thing is that yes, the pay rise. What's good to me, instead of pay rise, let all the infrastructure be working. Let there be transportation, electricity, food. When you have that, even if you have 10,000, you have been paid. You'll be able to manage it and survive.
Right.
But even they increase it to 100,000 per worker, but per minimum wage, the money will not be enough because if you go into cost of transportation, cost of feeding, cost of electricity, water bill, before you know it, about to let the government provide all these things first. The minimum wage can come. So that's 30% of the workforce in the country.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Jalil Abdul. I'm afraid this is where we can, put a stop to it. For now, we hope to have you, next time on our show. Well, of course, Mr. Jalil Abdul was the former FCT chairman of NUJ, and of course, he has been giving us some delightful insight into some of the major happenings in the country. Mr. Jalil, thanks for coming on the show.
I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
This is where we call it a day on Today in the News here on Vanguard Live. Do not forget to follow us and, of course, share this video. And, of course, like us on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. Of course, this is Today in the News. My name remains Ito Bank.